there.
This time we'll reconvene the Budget Committee workshop, and the first one up this time will be Stephen Ogle with Clerk and Master's Office.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Ogle, the Blount County Clerk and Master. Our office is a small record-keeping office for the court system. It's me and 7 employees. We handle the county's divorces and probate cases. We also collect the delinquent taxes and conduct the delinquent tax sale. Our budget is basically a status quo budget from last year. We're not asking for anything more than we had last year. I will click through the slideshow through for you.
You were there on how we serve. That should have been your first slide. Okay.
We, our office handles cases filed in Chancery, Circuit Equity, and General Sessions, domestic and probate. We assist the public, law enforcement, attorneys, and other entities with public records requests, collecting court costs, property taxes, and filing cases. The types of cases we handle are in your third paragraph there, as I mentioned: divorce, probate, conservatorship, guardianship, basically the whole range of various types of lawsuits. This shows some of the funds that we've collected and sort of gives you an idea of our volume. That's our tax sale collections from last year. We've had almost 900 parcels turned over this year. Many of those will be paid in between now and the tax sale. That's why we only had 27 parcels that sold last year. And you can see the case filings. That's a bar chart showing our new cases filed so far this year and the various categories. They're color coded according to courts. And this shows filings over a period of 10 years. You can see that they're pretty steady. We'll get the 2024 property taxes this year, next week. Scott Graves' office, the City of Maryville, and City of Alcoa will turn those over to us. They each file their separate lawsuits, which are then consolidated into one. Our delinquent tax sale for this year is June 4, and we are continuing to cross-train, but have made leaps and bounds of progress on that this year. It's really helping the operations of the office. Thought we had somewhere in here. Well, I know y'all have in your packages our expenses, requested expenses and revenue. As I said at the opening, the expenses are identical to what we asked for last year. The General Assembly last year passed a fee bill that is increasing our filing fees and court costs. Began January 1, and then next January 1 they'll increase again, and then in January of 2028 they'll increase again. So our revenues that are reflected now, we really don't have enough data to know how much more money we're going to be generating, but we will be generating more in the ensuing budget years. Is there any questions?
Any questions for Steve? Steve, do you have any idea if the legislators have increased the amount? Do you have an idea what that amount is? It 5%, 10%, or what are they? What are we talking about on increase?
It's kind of a arcane because some fees went up and some fees came down. So I think it'd be really hard to say it's this much of a percent or that much of a percent. But an example I could give you is the filing fee to initiate a new probate case was $300, and it's now gone up to $400 or so. But like I said, other court costs have come down. But overall, the purpose of the bill was to generate more revenue for the clerk's offices to keep up with inflation.
Okay. All righty. No other questions? Steve, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank everyone for your time and service.
Thank you. Next up, Recovery Court, Amy Gallion.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing?
Doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, doing good.
Who'd you bring with you there? You an introducer?
Her assistant.
Yeah, we all know that's not true. Let's see here. Well, what we do, I think most everybody here is very familiar with our program at this point. I saw y'all gave me 10 minutes, so I'm trying not to be real wordy today. But we're a treatment-based alternative to incarceration. The purpose of our program is just to help reduce the number of individuals that are incarcerated that have underlying substance abuse and mental health issues. We work well with community partners, and our goal is to return individuals back into the community as productive citizens so that they can go about living their lives in a manner that is no longer a menace to our society. For 2025 through 26, some of our accomplishments, we've had 31 individuals graduated from our program in the year. With the use of the opioid grant fund, we were able to hire a third treatment specialist, which has really helped with our therapeutic models. The grant has actually been a very valuable tool for us. We're able to use those funds to get our treatment staff more training, the EMDR training, and some of the other more specialized trainings that are very useful for our population. With those funds we've been able to use. The equine enrichment therapy with Harmony has been just an amazing experience. I keep trying to find a time that I can go with them, because hearing the participants talk about the horse therapy and being able to, one, learn about horses and learn how the animals also have trauma and how they work through the trauma with the horses and they relate to that. I mean, we have participants come back just excited that they cleaned stalls, you know, I mean, because they enjoy being near the animals. So it's been a great partnership. And we couldn't have done that without the extra funding, because that cost dollars that we didn't have in our budget. We have established some special activities with our treatment assistant staff that they do on Fridays to introduce our participants to things that they can do with their time. One of the things that the judge asks them about all the time in court is, what do you do when you're not going to meetings or doing recovery or working? You know, what do you do for your own mental health? And lots of times they don't know. And so fishing, I think, is one of the number one answer. So we're showing them how to play pickleball. We're introducing them to Parks and Rec and how they can go to Parks and Rec and access the basketball courts or the softball fields and the pickleball courts. And they sometimes go up and do hikes, either whether it's in the Greenbelt or whether it's right off the bypass or the Blue Ridge Parkway, or you know, those areas. And then we continue to just take advantage of any types of training we can find. A lot of training is online now, so we're able to really get a lot of specialized training for all of our staff. Thankful to our maintenance department and all departments involved. We have our security updates to our front door, so we now have a level of protection for the people in our program that after the incident that happened at probation, they don't have to worry about general public coming in. You have to push a button to get access to come into our building. And so that's just been a great security addition that we were able to have added this past year. Goals. We continue to have goals. One of our main ones for this year is we are working diligently, myself and Judge Harrington, with the District Attorney General's office to address our referrals and how to increase the number of individuals. Now that we're fully staffed, we have the ability to provide services to 140 people. Our current numbers is I think it's, as of today, 120 that we have enrolled in our program, so we have room to service more people that are involved in the Justice Center. So we're really trying to work to find ways to get our referrals back up.
Met with the general this morning. Even we've been working over the last several days, trying to figure out that there's a population that we believe that is unidentified through some of the state programs in probation, that possibly through the help with Judge Dugan and myself and General Desmond, we're going to be able to identify. There are people that are using, obviously, that need to be in some type of a treatment, and based upon some allowances for drug screens, et cetera, we're working to kind of close that gap a little bit so that we can identify that population, make the community safer by not letting people use and not be identified. And so we have some ideas about how to proceed on that should be put into place in the next couple of weeks.
We want to expand our drug testing options. That's the only request that we have in our budget this year. We recently had a company called OPANS that presented to our long team meeting when all of our team was involved. They offer a blood test, which initially I was like, we don't do blood, but it's basically a finger prick. It's a device that there's little to no contact. We actually were trained on how to do this testing. It is a very extensive panel. Not only can it test for the gas station drugs, which are quite honestly one of our biggest issues right now, because testing for those things like kratom and tyneptine and xylazine, those are things that are so difficult to find testing for, but through a blood test, we can immediately test and not just see that it's in their system, but test for the levels, because blood tests very differently than urine, and right now urine is the only way we're able to test. But they also test for like prescribed medications. You know, another issue that we have a hard time controlling is if people are taking their mental health meds correctly. And so this DBS or blood testing allows us to see, we can tell them what medications they're on, and they will tell us if the dosage in their system is within the range of what it should be based on their prescription. So this is a new thing that kind of take us, just like our lab did years ago, to a different level. This again will take us to a different level of accountability, because our overriding goal is to make sure that the services that we're providing are also ensuring safety within our community. So anytime we can find a way to increase our accountability to our participants, that's what we want to do.
In fact, we were able to partner with community corrections because they're already using on a limited basis these tests. And so we had a couple of individuals that were supervised by them that we were able to partner and ask for this screen. And we actually were able to keep 2 people in the program because of that. Otherwise, that may have been discharged because we just could not, with the urine test, get to an established acceptable rate and acceptable levels. And so it was very helpful. So we've tried it out. I mean, we've used it. And so we're not just saying that this is great, this is technology and what they've told us. We've actually used it a couple of times already, and it's amazing the levels and what they can test for. And it's helpful to us because we're really based on honesty. And so if we can make someone be honest about what they're doing and have the evidence to back that up. So we've used it, and again, it saved us 2 participants that we might otherwise have lost to discharge.
Yeah. And we have partnered with them, so we are already using the test. The request for the additional $10,000 from the opioid grant is because every test is $100. It doesn't matter whether you're testing for a full panel or a partial panel. So obviously, every time we do it, we're requesting the full panel because it's the same cost regardless. But every time we do it is $100 per test. So we're asking for the increase because we feel like doing an across-the-board test on everybody when they first come in to get those baseline levels, that gives us the accountability we need. And it also shows them we have the testing capability to know exactly what's in their system. Lots of times it's just in the proof. When we first got the lab, they didn't believe we had a lab. They thought we were doing cup tests and just telling them we had a lab. And it wasn't until we were able to prove we actually have this lab and we can see the levels that we were able to start getting the results from it. So,
And I'm sure you all have heard about the gas station drugs, and there's pending legislation, I think, with the state. There is always going to be a problem with we shut one thing down and you move to the next, and then you move to the next. We're in a new era, so to speak, of the gas station drugs and people being able to walk in. We are seeing that the detox from the gas station drugs is the same, if not worse, than some of our heroin and methamphetamine.
yeah.
And so being able to identify these in the levels has become extremely important.
If you go into a gas station and just look for kratom, you'll be able to find it in the gas station, and kratom is basically legalized heroin. Our participants that have been on this will tell you it is a worse detox off of the kratom if they've been using it long term than it is coming off of an opioid. And you can walk into any gas station or smoke shop or whatever, and not only is it advertised, you can go in and buy it legally.
And so, as always, our best education comes from our participants themselves. And when they go into the jail and they detox, and what we physically observe and what they report back to us about what it is. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it.
Questions?
Anyone have questions?
I just had a quick question. So you mentioned kratom. I know that the state had a bill to regulate that. Did that pass? Have they done any action at the state level on kratom?
Last I heard, it was
Still pending.
Still pending, but I don't know. I've not checked it recently, but I do know that, and I think the xylazine and something else. We periodically get updates, but I can't tell you specifically.
Okay.
This is typical.
Yeah.
Something comes out, it takes a couple years to catch up to regulating. Once we get that locked down, then it's going to be something else, and it's going to take a year or two to, I mean, this is a perpetual cycle that we've done since the beginning of Recovery Court in the 90s. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, and again, we just have to get there. We usually see it first, because while somebody may be using kratom and it takes us a minute to figure out that that's what's going on, we see it in other areas. They're not working, they're not doing their community service, they're slacking off on meetings, and then lo and behold, we get to the point they were using Kratom. And so once we figure that out, and again, the state will lock it down, there'll be regulations, and then we're gonna deal with the next thing.
And this testing, another thing that, because you hear me say it's legal, you can go in the gas station and buy it. Well, alcohol is legal, you can go in the gas station and buy that. Our folks are not allowed to do those things. So we test for alcohol, we test for these things, and if they're using them, it's a violation of the program. So there's sanctions that are involved with those things. So just because it's legal doesn't make it okay or appropriate for them to do in our program. And so we're constantly trying to find ways to offer that accountability and do the testing to make sure we're holding themselves accountable.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hannah?
This touches on a budget issue, but it's really probably more information for me that I can, for my knowledge and to help share with other people. It seems to me, though, that this is going to help even more than what you're already doing, and I think I'm seeing an increase in successful numbers and an increase in graduates rather than that decline. Although I do still see people who've bounced back in
Sure,
because
sure.
they did what they should not have done.
Sure.
But if I'm hearing correctly what you're saying today, these blood tests will be not only more accurate, but you might be able to detect some things earlier.
Absolutely. That's why we want to do the baseline. That's why we would like the funding to be able to not just use the test when we suspect somebody's getting by on a urine test. We would like to be able to test across the board to be able to show where everybody's level are. And that way, if there is an issue and we do a second blood test on them, we can say, okay, here was your baseline, here's where you started. So not only do we have this showing that you're doing it, but we also have this right here showing this is where it should have been. This is where you started. And so it just is it's just a tool that I think is going to be a game changer for our program. It's already been a game changer for community corrections. The community corrections officer told us, he goes, you're going to find that you don't have to do a lot of testing once you start doing this because they know what this test is going to show. So when they're not failing the urine test, but you know there's something they're going to admit before they do the blood test.
And the issue with the prescription meds is amazing. I mean, it was amazing. When we saw this blood test and we were able to talk to the participant about the levels and all the different things, I mean, we were able to go in a whole different direction treatment-wise that we would not have known to do but for that test.
Because they weren't taking their prescribed medication. So we listed this is what they're on, and we get the test back, and it's inconsistent because there was no trace of the medication in their system. So that told us they're not taking their mental health meds. So that allowed us to then get with them and get with their provider to get those mental health meds back on track because they needed them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Anything else? Going back to these gas station drugs and this stuff that you're talking about, Kratom or whatever it's called, how are they able to sell something that has the same addictive qualities as heroin in a gas station to kids, to young people? How is there not some kind of oversight? Do the drug dealers not have a lobbying group that can make the laws to where
Well,
they
I
can't
mean,
do that? Or
I
anything?
think that would be a big pharma question because I think sometimes we get an idea of what a drug dealer looks like, and honestly, a drug dealer is anybody that's making a financial profit. And unfortunately, we have a very young generation. Whippets, I don't know if you've heard of Whippets, but Whippets is basically nitrous oxide in a little form that looks like a vape, and it is rampant. It is causing so many issues in our kids because where they may not be able to buy them, obviously, like everything else, they can find a way to get it, and it's a little, 30-second high that they're going to get off of this little Whippet. It's hard to test for it, almost impossible to test for it, but it's an inhalant. So every time you're taking a whiff off of this inhalant, you're killing a brain cell, and that's something that you can't recover from. You know, you're severing those, and you have people that are dying, people that are overdosing, and people that are just in serious medical conditions, paralyzed from these things, and they can go into any vape shop, gas station, and purchase it.
But I think it goes back to what Mr. Anderson was saying. You know, there is legislation, and sometimes it just takes a minute. There has to be the result, right? They bring it out, they say that it's going to be safe, it's all those things, it's not regulated, and then things start happening.
Yeah.
And then you have to catch up. It's obviously not marketed for what we see.
Yeah, well, okay. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for everything that your staff does to help so many people, not just the people in your program, but our community absolutely is absolutely blessed to have the program that you all have put together and what you all have done in working and helping people and just helping people in this community. I mean, everyone you help in because I've been to the graduations. It's nice to see the people graduating and see their lives turned around, but it's really nice to look out there at those families and kids and mom and dad and see their life turned around and see what changes have happened. And I really appreciate that. Judge, it's good to see you. And I just want to say this while y'all are here, even though we're asking for the 10,000 more on this, for this testing and all, we're still just at 26,000 more in the total budget on, so for everything that they're doing and the difference they're making in the 26,000, I'm not sure how that even covers the employee raises and everything. But thank you for being very conservative and doing such a good job and doing such amazing things for this community. And thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
General session judges would like to come up. William R. Brewer Jr., Michael Gallegos, Robert L. Hedrick.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Mayor, welcome back.
Thank you.
Miss members of the
Got-
committee.
I'm just sitting here with eyes on.
You don't have anything else down there but eyes to you. Let's see, I'm supposed to do this thing, I guess. What we do the same thing we have been doing for years, same thing that we put on our budget requests as last year. Our jurisdictions have not changed. We are a court of limited jurisdiction with regard to everything we do. It's set by statute. Civil disputes, for the most part, up to $25,000. In controversy, with a few exceptions. The misdemeanor criminal cases, they haven't changed, nothing, preliminary hearings for felonies. And we still do domestic relations and probate, domestic violence cases that Judge Hedrick had today, and then involuntary mental health commitments, Judge Gallegos had some today. We have those during the week too. So we're just there to help and serve the public. Where do you put this thing at? There we go. Our accomplishments are, again, pretty much similar to what they were last year. We've listed the financial impact on all the other offices. Of course, all the revenues that General Sessions Court clerk collects comes through us. And probation, we utilize the county probation. I got those numbers, I think, from Mr. Shelton. That's what that's projected revenues for the fiscal year. We place people on community service, use the animal shelter some, use a lot of other agencies, and you can see the number of the hours that they put in. And we've listed the amount of revenues we believe that we got those numbers from the clerk and masters of what cases out of our courts and probate courts generate. And then as far as sheriff's, his population, we do the best we can to keep it down by putting people on pretrial release and have them supervised by probation and that type of thing. And our goals are to continue to do the same. So, and I wanted, again, the ladies in the back, Sharon, Becky, and Cora, they are our staff. They run the show. They answer the phone. They deal with the irate citizens and halfway crazy lawyers sometimes, but they're the ones that take the heat for us. So we want to recognize them yearly, and we appreciate the numbers that we're asking for. Is our operating expenses remain the same as last year. We're only asking for the salary increases for our ladies, and then the COLA for the judges. And we think that we had an issue with the numbers. Quit talking over. I'm talking. Okay.
We're reevaluating.
Yeah, we are. Okay.
Yeah,
But I think we had an issue with some numbers. We had more money in our salary line item, I guess, what we're supposed to. I don't know how it got there. Y'all were just threw some more money at us, I guess, but we couldn't. But anyway, we got it all straightened out, I think. So, all right. So that's all we're asking for. Same as last year. Only
Anybody got questions?
y'all got anything?
Anybody? Would either of you all like to say anything, or? Looking at their budget, if y'all will, just even with the employee package and the judge's package, it's still less than $10,000 increase. Less than $10,000 increase on a $1.3 million budget. That's less than $10,000 increase this year, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the people.
Yeah, if we need something, we're going to come ask you. We're
I
not
know
going to ask
you
you
will.
for something.
There's no doubt about
we don't need
that.
it.
But we're just in the moment here.
I got it. Okay. All right. Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Good seeing you guys.
Y'all ready to start?
Go for it.
All right, this is Eric Hinkle. He's the director of the judicial commissioners. The judicial commissioners are created by statute. In fact, the county commission is the one that appoints, and they kind of turn over the day-to-day operation to the judges. But the judicial commissioners, an office that is open 365 days a year, 7 days a week. Saturday, Sundays, holidays, that kind of thing. We don't close. We're here all day, every day, all night, every night to help primarily law enforcement and individuals that are seeking out primarily orders of protection because of domestic violence. They take a tremendous load off of what we as judges have to do of the fine work that they do. You can see, if you move on, you see the numbers up there, the number of arrests and criminal summons. That doesn't include citations where somebody's getting a ticket to come to court. My guess is there's another 10,000 of those or better, at least. So we're looking, processing 22,000 criminal cases through that office every year. You can see the number on the orders of protection that have been applied and granted. And then we also, at night and on weekends, we issue juvenile petitions when they're not there. So, and our goals are to continue to serve the citizens. And the numbers, I think we've asked for the operating expenses are exactly the same. Is that right? I believe. Yes. And then we're just asking for an increase to pay them, to give the employees a little bit more money. Okay. And an incentive to stay. We had a discussion last year about how hard it is to get somebody to work the way we have our schedule on weekends. We're asking somebody, we need you to work a weekend, we need you to work a 12-hour shift. We have 4 12-hour shifts on the weekend. Oh, by the way, if you're part-time, you're also going to work holidays because the full-time folks are going to be off. So we haven't lost anybody, have we? No. So we've retained what we have. It's I wouldn't do it, but we're lucky to have people that want that job. So.
Have any questions? Another question. I've just got one here. Your budget's actually less this year than it was last year.
It is. We're ultra conservative. Well, there were, again, it was.
I love that trend.
Well, I understand. It's correct me if I'm wrong. Is that our we look at the calendar year, we've got so many times we're going to use part-time folks, and historically, y'all have given us a little bit more money, I think, for the part-time folks, and we've finally convinced them over here that we don't need that much money. So, if we need it, we'll come back and ask for it.
We appreciate, we appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thank you.
much. Thank you for the job you do.
Appreciate it, sir. Yes, sir, I'll see you.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Next up, Blount County Emergency Communication District. Chief, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing fine.
I'm here as a board member and chair. I'm going to let Jimmy take over and make the presentation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And then
Thank
this is Susan Porter, our assistant director. I think you here last year?
Yes, she came last year.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you?
You're right.
First off, you know what we do, but I'm going to hit some highlights anyway. We take every 911 call that's placed in Blount County, Tennessee, everyone. Then we dispatch physically for every emergency responder organization except for the ambulance service, AMR. They are co-located with us, but their 911, all 911 calls come into us, and then they see it in our computer system as we take the call in our CAD system. And something that many people may not realize, in 2025, we gave out 1,791 new addresses. We're the addressing agency for Blount County, because when we give out a new address, say it's a new construction, we have to ensure that it's put into our emergency dispatch CAD system and it's a valid address and that everything matches up. So if we have to send an ambulance, a fire truck, a police officer to that address, it's valid. We know that, we know exactly where they're going. And a lot of folks don't realize that. So it's up on the uptick a little bit. It's 1,791 last year, so our county is growing. In addition, going to the slide, our total phone calls in and out last year were 182,525. We took a total of 1,742 911 text messages. Total fire calls were 10,712, including EMS responses from our cities. Our total law enforcement calls for all our agencies was 151,815. And our CAD entries, which is a call for service of some type that is needed, that is put in the computer, was 162,989. The big number there at the bottom, our NCIC transactions were processed in 2025 were 197,652. So, and many of you know what that is, but for those of you who do not, law enforcement has to enter and take things out and modify things that are put into the National Crime Information Center through TBI and then on to the FBI. The Sheriff's Office does their own entries and modifications and validations, because if you have a gun stolen, you have to go in, I think it's every 5 years, and make sure that it's still stolen and the serial, make sure everything's still in there. So those are called validations. So the Sheriff's Office does their own, and we just simply inquire for the officers or deputies that are in the field for that. Our dispatchers do, checking wanted persons, to see if the gun is stolen that they found in a car, or run to see if somebody's a missing person. So, but the other law enforcement agencies, including the 5th Judicial Task Force, the Airport Authority, Maryville City, Alcoa City, we do all their entries, we do all their modifications, we do all their validations. It's handled by our personnel. And a good example, a couple years ago, we had 40 laptops stolen from one of our schools here in the county, and took one person about a shift and a half to enter all those laptops into the NCIC computer with serial numbers and a description, and then make sure everything was correct and put them in. So it's a very time-consuming thing. So we did 197,000 of a combination of all those things last year. So that leads me to our accomplishments. We did partner with law enforcement and are involved with the Real-Time Operations Center that some of you have probably heard about, know about, which has been a benefit to law enforcement in a big way. We enhanced telecommunicator quality assurance program. We have a national standard that so many calls from each category, high priority, low occurrence, those type things, structure fires, CPR, has to have so many of those percentage of calls quality assurance, so to speak, every year. So what we were able to do is to find an AI. The big problem was finding those categories of calls in our computer was very time consuming. So it pulls those categories, the numbers that we need, and gives them a QA from the artificial intelligence, and we review that, which has allowed us to meet the industry standard and surpass it a little bit with our QAs, but also maintain the good quality of quality assurance that we need, because we want our dispatchers doing the right thing every time, at least most of the time. Every time we can make it happen. We're human, we make mistakes. We updated our telecom and radio recording systems, saved a little money on that. We just went through our fifth CALIA on-site visit and with no findings, so we're anticipating receiving our fifth accreditation certificate in Omaha, Nebraska this July. We upgraded some critical infrastructure, like our climate control in our server room was 20 years old. We replaced it. Our UPS backup system, which keeps all of our stuff going should the power go out until the generator kicks in, it was due replacement. We were able to replace it. We added 3 radio consoles to the dispatch center and 1 to our backup center that the mayor graciously provided us a space for here in the courthouse. We appreciate that, Mayor. And we were able to put the console is important because we can use mobiles, but the console allows us to switch frequencies faster and also allows us to give the fire departments their tones. That raises the doors sometimes, depending on which fire department it is, it does different things for them, but it notifies all of them. So we were able to do that in case we have to operate out of that. We have a total of 11 dispatch primary positions and 6 backup positions now. And if you remember the train crash, we don't want to, but in 2015, that would have been beneficial because we could have put more dispatchers on the floor handling different things instead of having to work out of the roll call room at the sheriff's office or wherever, a conference room somewhere. So we're preparing for the future, but we're also preparing for contingency situations that might arise before we need those positions day to day. Does that make sense? We're asking for an addition of 1 dispatch position for the coming year, which will facilitate a records channel, which will take all those NCIC queries during their shifts, the law enforcement officer shifts, off the dispatcher and put it in one place. They would switch channels to check wanted persons, to run a VIN number to see if something's stolen, and that one dispatcher would also be our terminal agency coordinator and coordinate those transactions, which would let her be free during the day to make those 40 laptop entries and to do those things without it having to take up dispatcher time and attention from the radio and the telephone. We're also asking for an administrative position with facilitate a dedicated training manager and accreditation manager, which right now our training is an additional duty. We have a day shift supervisor that was our TAC to handle the NCI stuff. She's the training manager, okay, and she supervises day shift. So I need her in the room doing her primary function, and these additional tasks are pulling her away from that. So, and everybody else, and you might ask, well, why don't you give it to somebody else that's not responsible for the day shift supervisor? Because everybody else got 3 or 4 hats they wear too. So we just need that additional position. So that's what we're asking for. And when we think about our funding, we realize that times are tough because we're having it tough. So we think about that, and at the state level, the Tennessee Emergency Communication Board has come up with a bill that we've put in that passed the Senate last year, which will add 36 cents to your phone bill every month for the 911 fee. And this is statewide across the state. And it would go from $1.50 to $1.86, which would mean less than $5 a month per pay phone, right? Or $5 a year, I'm sorry, per pay phone. 36 cents a month, or per cell phone, good grief. So that's what we're asking for. It's passed the Senate, it passed the State and Local Government Committee in the House yesterday, and it goes to Finance, Ways and Means this coming Wednesday. So should that pass, then we might not need the money we're asking for today. we can make it without it. But if it don't pass, would you put that slide back, please? Oh, there it is. Thank you. I got one more thing. So if it don't pass, what we're requesting is $100,000 additional funds from the county, which would also provide for, and we have requested $50,000 additional funds from each city, of the city of Maryville, city of Alcoa, which would not necessarily allow us to accomplish any of our goals that I mentioned for next year. It's just going to keep us in the green. Going back last year, in this past audit, we increased our net position by 5%. The year before that, we increased our net position by 8%. This year, I'm worried that we're going to be in a negative budget at the end of this current fiscal year. Because, as the mayor mentioned earlier, we have to keep good people, so we have to give them a raise. The board allowed that to happen. And then we had some additional expenses. Our maintenance fees go up every year a minimum of 2 to 5%. And it's constant. And we have to have those maintenance fees, like I talked about, with the data centers cooling, with the UPS system, with the phone system, with the radio system, with all these things, just be able to serve our responding agencies, and so they can, and we can all serve the public. We have to keep those things in place. So it's just a matter of necessity, and I hope you realize that we try to be as frugal and as economic as we can in our operation each year. Thank you.
All righty. Any questions? I've just got a couple. Jimmy, when you're talking about needing extra dispatchers to bring your total up to 11 primary dispatchers and 6 in backup dispatch, or I guess BU is backup.
Yeah, those are positions, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so how many dispatchers do you have right now total?
We have a total dispatch staff of 24.
Okay. So it's just, what this will do is put 11 on duty per shift?
Correct. We have a minimum of 5 dispatchers per night shift, which drops to 4 sometimes, depending upon sickness and things like that, because we don't have another one to, that's all we have. And then we try to keep a minimum of 6 on day shift. Okay, so if you think about it, all those calls and things that I showed you the big numbers on, 24/7, an average of 5 people are doing all that. So these positions allow us growth in the future. We have 11 positions at 911 and 6 down here. Day to day, 11 positions are there, but we only have 6 people sitting at them. But some large incident take place, we can bring more in and do that, but it also allows for growth for the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What's the chances of that increase on the surcharge for 911? What's the chances of that getting?
We are very hopeful, and I want to give a little bit of a kudo to our representatives, Senator Hatcher, Representative Moon, Representative Stinnett, have all supported us and been very supportive of it. So it passed the state and local government yesterday. It meets Finance, Ways, and Means Wednesday. And we think we're going to be okay with Finance, Ways, and Means. The ear to the ground is telling me. But the mayor pardon me, Mayor, the governor has flagged it.
Don't put me there.
I apologize. The governor has flagged it. Now, in the last increase we got in 2020, 2021 from the state, he didn't veto it, but he didn't sign it. He let it lay on his desk for 10 days, so it became law. So I'm not sure how we're going to fare. I would say 60-40, good. It'd be my estimate.
So whenever they do increase it, does it still have to go through the state? Does the state still pull some off of that money, or does it all come to you?
No, it all goes to the districts. Well, technically, the state does pull some of it off. And what they do is the amount of monies that the Tennessee Emergency Communication Board pulls from that, they pay for stuff for the district. That's statewide.
Okay.
Like the statewide 911 EZNet, it's called. They pay for that. So that comes out of that money. And they pay for some other services that we get through the state. And they do grants from time to time on different things. So yes, it all goes to 911 or our operation statewide, though.
No other questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Chief. Juvenile Court, Judge.
Good afternoon. How's everybody?
Great.
Good. This is Sarah Dunn, who is our Juvenile Court Services Director. I'm not sure she was with me last year, but I wanted to, obviously she's integral to our operations, wanted her to be here. So everything is pretty straightforward. We aren't asking for anything substantially different other than cost of living step increases for our employees. What we do, we serve a lot of families and a lot of children doing child welfare law, termination of parental rights. Parentage is what you think of as paternity and legitimation. Custody and co-parenting cases, just like a divorce, except for those people who are not married. We, of course, also serve our juvenile population who commit crimes and get in trouble with unruly offenses. We do child support, and we do a ton of prevention services, and that's just the part of our role that the public really doesn't see as much. We have families come to the door and ring the doorbell, and we will help them if they're having trouble with their children. We'll refer them for services, for mental health services, for substance use services. We work with families doing things called informal adjustments, where kids are kind of a little bit off the rails, but we can bring them back together through a 3-month informal adjustment that everybody agrees to. We do county probation and intensive probation out of our youth services office. We also house a couple of court liaisons from the Department of Children's Services who provide some more significant family crisis intervention and family support. They also operate state probation. And one of our best accomplishments was our implementation of our Safe Baby Court and our hiring of our Safe Baby Court coordinator through our Safe Baby Court grant. We are about to graduate our very first family out of our Safe Baby Court program, and we are excited. And I am delighted to see how much this grant program has really transformed this family and just being able to provide things that we normally can't provide. They needed an extra car seat. We were able to do that. Mom needed some money for groceries. We were able to do that through the grant. They needed some help with gas. We were able to do that for the family. And this family is, they're reunified, and we are going to see them one final time next month and then get them on out. And then our last big accomplishment that I think is we continue since I took office to reduce the number of children that end up in foster care every year through our prevention services. And as of last week, there are 110 children, 110 Blount County children, which is still a lot, in foster care, and 22 of our children, our youth, are juvenile justice commitments. So those are kids that get in such bad trouble that they get a juvenile justice commitment. And there are 8,350 kids statewide in care. And I think that's all I got, other than we're going to continue to expand our Safe Baby Court, continue to work to decriminalize behaviors, rehabilitate children, and try to keep our families together. Questions for me or for Director Dunn?
Any questions for the judge?
Okay,
Anything?
fantastic.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next up, elections. Dr. Mo Click.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, yeah. Hey, okay, what do we do? Let me start. Serving Blount County. We do a lot. You can look at that list. We do a lot. We do a lot that folks don't know. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that nobody's aware of, but basically we make sure the elections are run smoothly and fairly and all that stuff. Overseeing the voting machine certification process, we just got done with that yesterday. That was a 2.5-day process, so we're ready to go for May. Believe me, GIS coordination and voter registration, when Ray gets here in a few minutes, you can ask him about the spider web of boundaries that is Blount County and what a challenge that is sometimes. So our accomplishments, 25, 26, the voter list maintenance, which I'm going to get into in a minute, which was a big part of that process. We've identified, procured new and improved poll book applications for Election Day. We've got a more efficient poll worker application organization tool. We've worked closely with Justin in IT to make our elections basically better, more secure, and upgrading the process. And we're basically trying to streamline the efficiency of the office when we get, especially with legislation that says do this, do that, and they're kind of all over the board, things kind of get out, they kind of get spread out. So we're trying to streamline and make things more efficient. This time last year, I'll tell you, when our accomplishments, this time last year, I stood here and told you we were staring at $300,000+ because our poll books had been declared obsolete. We were looking at 4 new precincts because of numbers, voting numbers, and I said, at that point in time, I said, we've got too many moving parts for me to actually present that to you in a budget, in the budget. And it turned out that was good, because what happened as far as our precincts and our poll pads went, the solutions to that were basically what happened in the legislature, in the state legislature, was we are now able, as of last year, to identify people who may not live in Blount County anymore. In other words, we can identify folks, we have a way to identify folks that may not live here, so when they come to the polls, they can still vote, but they need to prove their address, so we can hand them the right ballot, which is pretty critical for the May election. And so if these people don't show up, matter of fact, if they've not had any contact with, not just voting, but no contact, no update of address or whatnot, in a 2-year federal election period, which is a 4+ year period, 4 to 5 year period, we can make those voters inactive, which means they need to prove an address. They may still not live here, okay? Now, if they don't show up for the next 4 to 5 years, which is about a 10-year period, they can be taken off the voter rolls. Now, what that means is that we've had a lot of people that are on the rolls that we couldn't take off. We had no way to take them off. We didn't think they lived here, but we couldn't get them off the rolls. This gives us a way to do that. So we've not lost any voters. We're still at that 100,000 voter level, but we have been able to identify more that may not live in Blount County, okay? And what happens is that allows us to not have to add precincts at the moment. It'll come down the pike, but it adds till this shakes out over the next 2 federal election period. I can go into that in plenty more detail for anybody who'd like to hear that. My door's open to go in great detail on that. Please come by and see me if you're interested.
Yeah, I'd say they'll be beating your door down.
Yeah, yeah. So, but what that turned into, what we're able to do with that goes along with the poll book application, because what we're able to do with that, instead of going to a vendor that gave us the poll books, which is kind of outside our circle, or think of our circle, us, our voting machine vendors, and our voter database software folks. We had another party outside that circle. Well, again, working closely with Justin, working closely with our database, our voter database software folks, we've managed to take them out of the loop and close that even more. So we feel good about, not that we had an election integrity problem anyway, but when the circle's closed, we feel better. What that managed to do was we basically turned what we thought was going to be a $3,000 plus expenditure to making a quarter of that, basically about a $25,000. Justin helped us with some of it within his budget, which we're securing laptop computers for. But basically we took that off the table for now, so I do want you to know that. Again, that's going to happen. That'll happen as we move forward, unless we can get to the voting center model, and we'll talk about that later. The one thing I want to tell you, accomplishment-wise, which I'm not sure if I accomplished it, but to those folks who helped us secure that Sallyport space to prepare for this election, thank you. I'm telling you, we were to the point of, and I had talked to Brian, we were to the point of, we were going outside, we're going to have to rent some space to literally prepare for the elections because of additional voting equipment that's needed, things like the scanners and all the preparation we didn't have room for. And that has taken a huge load off of us. So for all those that were involved in that, Carrie especially, and the purchasing folks, that's a huge thank you. And that's come into play even the last few days. Our goals are obviously a successful execution of the voting cycle in 2026. We want to learn from 2026 because of the changing election legislation climate. We've got some moving parts going on now. We want to try to hone in on some of that to again, streamline what we're doing and make it more efficient. And we want to revisit the possibility of voting centers in the next year also. What's happening in that, we believe, and I'm going to give you, we believe, I know it. I know that this Blount County is the most is the best equipped county in the state of Tennessee. As I talk to people, as I talk to the people who are doing this kind of thing, as I talk to those who are trying to do it but can't, because of our IT, our infrastructure, our IT folks and whatnot, we are the best equipped county in the state to do this. We are. I mean, we just are. And we'd like to get there. We'll see if that happens. Unfortunately, at the state level, state legislative level, there's a lot of different views on that right now. We'll see what happens there, because that ultimately that's where that will allow us to do something like that if we can. The bottom line with us is with us in our budget request, there's nothing new coming up. I don't have anything new to request for you right now. We're going to status quo, keep moving forward. The key thing to keep in mind is, although they're in a calendar year, there's no elections and then 3 elections. In a fiscal year, there's 1 election this May and then 2 elections next fiscal year. And so there's where that comes into play with our election workers and those kind of things. But we're keeping status quo. I do have one note that I need to give you that is good news. We will be reimbursed for our election expenses for this May election. That is a first. That always happens at the presidential preference primary. In the March presidential primaries, we get reimbursed. But this is the first time that the state legislature is going to reimburse us for May. Now, in March of 24, we were reimbursed, it was right $123,000 for our workers, printing costs, different costs like that. Whether it'll approach it, it'll approach that. So we will get reimbursed here this May for a lot of those costs, which is, that's huge. And I'll take any questions. That's going really fast. So,
Anyone have any questions for Mo? Anyone? I just want to make reference, and I've done this where I thought it was prudent that it be recognized that I'm looking at your budget, and your budget has actually gone down.
Again, trying to make things more fit and identifying better, lesser expensive systems. Now, we'll see what happens as we move forward.
I understand.
But yeah, it did. It sure did this
But
year.
your submitted budget is actually probably $30,000 less than it was last year. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think when we have departments, elected officials, departments that do that, and we have a lot that do that, and we've talked to a lot of them today that's presented. I just think that needs to be something that of course I don't see a lot of the public here, but the public needs to know that we are being good stewards of their tax dollars. You know,
We are. I can look you in the eye and say, yeah, we are.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Next up, Blount County Public Library.
All right. Hello, gentlemen. How are you all doing?
All right.
All right. I appreciate you guys being here, and honestly, Mayor, I'm in awe to see you still here and keeping it down. Thank you for all that you guys are doing for it. In a nutshell, the library serves as an information resource in whatever way that the information is supposed to come. So we primarily work in books, obviously, because that's the traditional way that people access information. However, there's a reality to it sometimes that children just don't like to read. It's hard, especially whenever they're starting out. And so what we try and do is try and make reading and learning and literacy fun, essentially. So through developing a love of learning, we're trying to build essentially a community hub of development so that people can get their answers. Our visits and our circulation have continued to increase year over year. We're currently on pace to beat our last fiscal year if our trends continue until June, despite a 16% increase between fiscal year 24 and 25 in our circulation numbers. All numbers actually are still up at the moment. We've played a critical role in local economic development through strategic partnerships and workforce via internships, vocational training, computer literacy training, and meeting rooms available to local businesses. Partnerships have helped us to expand our footprint in the community by helping to improve the marketability, essentially, of the workforce in the county. So as of February 15th, when we gathered this data, we've had an estimated over 1,000 people, meeting room events, and 8,000 people use our meeting rooms. You can see the chart up there. 35% of that came from businesses and nonprofits. Library programming was, of course, about 21%. We've done some partnerships as well with Blount County other departments as well, recovery courts. Blount County schools train their substitute teachers at our facilities. And so also computer classes for the public. My future goal is to see where we can continue to be able to better serve the community, and hopefully one of my extra goals is to have the ability to better serve the local commercial and industrial sectors as well within my scope. So one of the most important goals, as I said, is developing a love of literacy and reading. Since I've come on, we've tried to change a little bit the missions and the value statements, the vision statement, to try and just kind of highlight the fact that we need children to come together and have a love of learning. So we call it the summer slump, essentially. Whenever schools are out for the summer, children lose about an average of 2 months worth of reading skills. So we try and do everything we can with our programming to entice them to come in, keep those numbers up. A lot of our bread and butter comes from that summertime. That's where you're going to see a lot of our big programming numbers. I believe our last program, Story Time, at the end of July this past year, we had 90 children and families in one story time. So it's definitely well used and well loved. Some accomplishments that we've had for this year: we've hosted 6 best-selling authors, including a high-profile national book tour launch. Jennifer Mormon reached out to us and decided that she wanted to have the Blount County Library be the first stop in her nationwide book-selling tour. We've launched a new teen advisory board that's already reached maximum capacity, at least from how we are concerned in that room, due to rapid growth. Teen Advisory Board, or TAB for short, is essentially a teenage leadership group where we try and get kids in, teach them leadership skills and civic advisories. It's a kind of a two-way street because I definitely don't speak teenager anymore. I don't know if any of you guys do, but they get to help us with kind of helping that demographic, and at the same time they build their leadership skills. We've partnered with local schools and colleges, again, like I mentioned, to provide internships and vocational training. So we have a partnership right now with Maryville College through their Bonner Scholars Program to bring in people for workforce training. We're also doing the same right now with UT Knoxville so that we can get some archived historical documents digitized, and we're going to see if we can have some interns as well for that kind of a thing as well. We've hosted some major other events such as the Giving Tree. We're going to soon have the Tennessee State Library Association have their conference at our library. So that's going to be a statewide group of people coming in that are school librarians to be able to help get them some training. We've also increased our circulation numbers, programming numbers. Honestly, our numbers are kind of up everywhere on programming, attendance, everything. One thing that has definitely helped with that, certainly, is the increasing use of the automatic materials handler. That has helped kind of offset some of the growth that we're seeing in Blount County. It doesn't make up necessarily for the staffing, but it's definitely helped us to offset some of our workload to be able to make sure that we come in and we have other duties that we're able to fulfill for the public. Some future goals that we have are, we'd like to develop a 3-year strategic plan that addresses better long-term growth planning, adapting our space and facilities for continued growth, and investing staff and training and efficiency goals. So in essence, right now, we're not asking for a large increase, and we're also not asking for that many additional staff at all, because we want to make sure that before we do that, we're laying the groundwork to set a good example of using the taxpayer dollars accordingly to what we should be doing. I've asked a specific goal for my cafe hospitality services manager to increase revenue for the cafe to cover expenses for a second potential member in the future, not this fiscal year, but in the future. We've had a lot of requests for the cafe to be open on weekends, and we don't want it to grow to the point that it's competing with local businesses, but we do, however, want it to have enough revenue to cover the cost of a second staff member in the future. That would also help to alleviate the hospitality services manager whenever she's helping people with the meeting rooms and set up and other administrative tasks. We'd like to continue to increase our development with our local partnerships and relationships. We think that we're doing a wonderful job right now with families, seniors, children's, teenagers, but one area of opportunity that we see is college-age patrons and professionals. I think the biggest part of this is sound mitigation. The open concept of the building allows sound to travel easily sometimes, and our goal is to develop methods in the future to counter this. Finally, we're going to create a new historical event for the Blount 250 partnership. We're going to call it History Fest. I'm encouraging all people that would like to go to be able to come to this. It's going to aggregate essentially all historical programs and organizations into one roof to highlight what they offer to the public. And then we'll have a time capsule that'll be sealed for 25 years at the first one. And in 25 years, we're hoping the container will be opened again to be resealed for America's 300th birthday. Now, just as well to help, all programming expenses, by the way, do not come from taxpayer dollars. Every cent of that comes from funds raised from the Friends Group, so none of the funds that you see in this program nor any of the other program will cost anything. So finally, we're asking for a minor increase. It was around 2%. However, after we looked at salary adjustments, it's a little under 1% total. So between last year and this year, it's important to me to show that we're being fiscally conservative on our numbers. And so we were trying to do the best we can to make sure that all of the fiscal amounts add up to a sum that's all that's required of what we've been asked for. The biggest expense right now is honestly licenses, and that's because people are at a larger pace asking for more electronic media than books. That's also had some growth where we've tried to offset the costs from books into that, but the growth has been increasing. I don't think that it'll ever replace books, honestly. I think that that'll happen the same time that escalators replace stairs, but you know, we'll see. That is all that I'm asking for. So thank you all, and I'm open for questions.
Ready. Anyone have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, Parks and Rec. Joseph Huff will be doing the presentation.
Thank you. I never get that from the mayor. A little bit about Parks and Rec. Before we get into the budget aspect of it, I know, we're kind of a unique organization, and I think I go over this each year, but I think we're the only Parks and Rec in the whole state of Tennessee, one of the few in the country that's a multi-governmental organization. We're funded by all three governments, but we have our own board, our own set of bylaws. As we'll get in a little bit, we have to go through our own health insurance. We have our own TCRS number. So a lot of the things, I guess, other departments are leaning on the county for their numbers. We're having to get our own numbers on that, and sometimes they're not quite as good because we're a little bit smaller group too, so it's a challenge. But we currently have 22 full-time employees. 9 of those in maintenance, 5 at the rec center, senior center, 8 administrative office. We have 7 year-round part-time employees. But our payroll midsummer gets up over 200 people sometimes. And it shows you how many we bring in seasonally between lifeguards, concessionaires, janitors, seasonal maintenance people, that kind of thing. So we have a large staff. And most, even though we used to have 22 full-time employees, our payroll generally is at least 50 to 60 people throughout the year. Facilities over 200 acres, includes a couple of outdoor pools at Springbrook Pool and John Sevier, 3 rec centers, including the Everett Rec Center and Martin Luther King Center and the Springbrook Rec Center in Alcoa, and then we have the Senior Center. Senior Center currently has over 600 members, growing tremendously. I think majority of senior people that move into Blount County, one of the first places they're visiting is our Senior Center. And we're seeing a big input of our senior group coming in there, which is great. We have a disc golf course, the Clayton's, considered one of the top 2 disc golf courses in the South. A very, very popular course. A dog park in Maryville, 16 parks total, 14 pavilions, and 2 lakefront parks, which are both Louisville Point, both the county parks, Louisville Point and Singleton Park, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a little bit. Our programming, it's actually a little over 6,000 now. We're growing. I mean, everything we got's taken off. Youth athletics, adult athletics, fitness programs, arts, aquatics, outdoor recreation. We got it all. We're pretty proud of our diverse offering of programs, whether it's the arts or it's at athletics, whether it's for 4-year-olds or for 80 years old. I feel like our staff does a great job offering those programs. And then special events, Hometown Christmas, which we help here with the mayor doing that here, but we also do the other 2 governments, Songs by the Brook, extremely successful outdoor concert series in Alcoa. We track over 300 people come to watch that. It's a three Thursdays in a row concert series. Triple Crown running, been around for a long time. We have 3 5K runs a year, and we call it the Triple Crown, where if you compete and all, you can earn extra prizes. Halloween Spooktacular downtown. It's the 2nd largest downtown event they have. I think the largest is on Christmas Day. It's all day long. Spooktacular runs about 3 hours, and we draw over 5,000 people. It's a huge event downtown. Kids Fishing Derby, a little over 300 kids participated last year in our fishing derby at Alcoa Duck Pond. Smoky Mountain Classic softball tournament. This year's the 58th annual, still considered the #1 slow pitch softball tournament in the country. Brings in a little over $1 million economic impact to the community each year. Paws in the Pool, a neat program, fairly new program, where when we close Springbrook Pool, we open it up the Saturday after that. You bring your dog to swim in the pool. And it's any kind of program to do with your pet or your dog is huge, and this is one of those. We have a lot of dogs at Springbrook Pool on that day. And then our annual Guided Try Kids Triathlon for preschoolers is a great event each year also. A little bit about the parks, Blount County parks, just kind of look at a few of those. Louisville Point Park, last year we had over 100,000 visitors to Louisville Point Park. So we're able to track that now for a new program we have, and that's one of the most visited parks we have. I think the second or third most visited park we have. It's a huge number. I think it's a hidden gem. A lot of people don't realize how popular that park is, but it's gaining popularity more and more each year. The picture of the park. If you hadn't been down, it's a beautiful place. Our pavilion gets probably one of the most popular rental pavilions that we have. Everett Rec Center, we renovated the old Everett Gym. It's been back in '93, I think we opened that, and we have over 35,000 people visit that rec center each year. A couple of years ago, we got a grant to put a new floor in that you can see there, and still, just that gym gets tremendous use from our basketball. Our youth basketball program had 720 kids in it this year. So during that time, that place is packed Saturdays and every day during the week for practice. Of course, this time last year, we were finishing up the 2 fields at Everett, the artificial turf fields, which was a great project. That's one of the funnest projects I've ever been involved with. I thought working with Brian and working with the group here, we actually come in a little under budget, I think, on what we budgeted for that. So we was really happy about project, you know.
You worked with me too on that.
Huh? You too, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Well, I just, you know.
I didn't want to make it, I didn't want to pull the rug out there, but I appreciate.
Well, you're the reason we got a bulldog in the middle of it. The old Everett Bulldog.
That's right.
But that was a great project. I mean, that play, you know, we checked, 35 to 40,000 people a year are using that facility. I've said before, that football field, there's more games played on that football field than any football field in Blount County by far. I mean, between.
Last weekend, we came by there, there was not I don't know how anyone else could have ever got on that piece of property. That was there was something going on over behind the old locker rooms at the football field and on the soccer field. There was a crowd everywhere.
Yeah,
I've never seen so many kids up there at that.
I mean, between our youth soccer, where we get 650 kids 2 times a year, tackle football, flag football, which is becoming huge. It's getting bigger and bigger. And then we work with the Sassy School up there. Their girls flag football team uses it for practice, and we work with some schools using it for practice too. And those were things we couldn't do before it wasn't turf, because we played every spring and every fall during growing season. There wasn't any turf out there. It's actually kind of dangerous. So that was a great project for us to complete that. You got our budget request here. Basically, this is what's included in our request. Health insurance has been our big issue the last 2-3 years. You know, being a small group, the brokers we're working with, I think we work with the same broker you guys do, CBiz. That's who our broker is. We might look for some different, but anyway, it just seems like it's really, you know, our small group, and our benefits are getting less every year, but our costs are getting more. So it's a challenge. I mean, and you guys have great plans, but I don't think we can compete with that. But we're just trying to keep our head above water on health insurance. But last year they come to us originally with like a 25% increase. So we had to make some changes on benefits. We got them down to 10 last year. So we're hoping we can do that again this year. 18% increase in IT services. You know, we contract all our IT out. And it's not necessarily that IT services are getting more expensive. We're just having more and more things that require IT. Security cameras, our finance software, which is really getting outdated at this point. We're having to look at updating our financial software also. So IT services are really taking off for us also. Need to increase our seasonal and part-time employee pay. You know, the old days, kids are not even going to work for minimum wage today. You know, you can't get a 15-year-old to sell Coke for minimum wage. So we're having to increase everything from concessions. Lifeguard pay is really having to go up a little bit, and seasonal maintenance guys. It's a real challenge. So we're having to increase seasonal part-time pay. Then a cost of living raise for full-time employees. We've had an increase. We just got our number for TCRS the other day. Had a little bit of an increase on that. Again, being a small group, it's increasing a little bit. But also in our request, we're not asking for any additional employees. It says no capital request, but since I sent you this, the mayor wanted me to get a quote for updating the Eagleton Park, located behind the Eagleton ball fields. So have you included that quote? Okay, good. That includes, I don't know if anybody's been to the small Eagleton Park behind the ball field, but there's a little walking trail, parking lot, basketball court, and playground. The playground's fairly new. It's in good shape. This quote includes repaving all the walking trails. They're currently 5 feet, wanting to repave them to 9 feet, which is what is needed. And it also includes install 3 10-foot culverts. There's 3 or 4 places in that area. It's really low, holds water, so we're wanting to bring that up to level, to grade. That's for drainage. And repaving the parking lot, restriping, repaving the basketball court. And I think that quote's a little over $76,000, it seems like. And that's just one quote we got. And, you know, of course, if it's approved, whatever, we'll bid it and see what we can do with that. But that's our only capital is for that small park behind it. That park was built, the money for that park was a local park and rec grant money, yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. because you guys tried to
Yeah.
expand the park back there and they wouldn't let you.
Right.
So, it's been there for quite a
And
few years.
and it's a much-used park.
It is, more than you think, yeah.
A lot of people walking the trails.
And I guess, I understand the need for upgrading it with the ball fields there. I think it'll get even more use. I think it'll be, the walking trails and that kind of thing. I'm not sure that'll be used. I see more demand for that park when everything's done, you are done, when things get going there. That's us.
Anyone have any questions for Joe?
Couple other, I would like to, I know I always talk about Blount County parks, but these past few years, we've had a few other projects too. City of Maryville, the last few years, we've upgraded Sandy Springs Park, a major renovation there. We've upgraded Amarine Park, which is a big plus for us. It's an older park, but man, it looks good now. Done a lot of work on it. We're just completing the upgrades of Everett Park, new fencing, new Musco LED lighting, renovating the bathrooms, concession stand, upgrading handicap walking trails in Everett Park. So that's going on now. We just completed the expansion of the Martin Luther King Center, much needed. We have 80, 90 kids over there every day. Sharon knows it's a packed house. We got enough room now where we can actually separate age groups, which is very, very important. So that's been a big project. Alcoa also, pickleball courts at Bassel. If you drive by Bassel, the pickleball courts are full every time. If the weather's decent, you hear the pickleball players playing. So we've had a lot of projects these last few years. When you combine that with what we've done at the county, I know a lot of times you just see what we've done at the county, but it's all county, and there's a lot going on in this county recreation the last 5 to 7 years. We've done a lot of work.
Joe, total, counting everything you got going on, from midget football, adult softball, the soccer programs, how many people do you touch? How many kids and adults do you touch in this
I
community?
think we had it's around 6,500 probably. I'm just guessing, somewhere in there. And that's different, because we get some, we get, like I told you, we get 650 or so in soccer a couple times a year, mid 700s in basketball, 250 in flag football, tackle football. When I include numbers in tackle football, I include the cheerleaders. There's might be more of those than there are players, but there's a lot. We have a lot there too. But I think a little over 6,500 people, probably just in our programs. They don't include who's using their facilities or walking trails. They don't include the kids that come to Martin Luther King Center every afternoon. Those are just people who in organized camps. We have a couple of camps starting up the end of May. The most we can take is 100 kids each week, and we could get 200 if we had room to take it. It's just so popular. So yeah, we touch a lot of, like I said earlier, age 4 to 80. That 6,000 doesn't include all our members at the senior center either. That's just
And that doesn't include all the people that are up there at Sandy Springs Park playing basketball and picnicking, or at Everett Park, or at Springbrook.
Yep.
What's going on?
Well, like I mentioned, Louisville Park, over 100,000 a year come to Louisville Park. Sandy Springs probably had, was it 350,000 people last year. We latched on to a program called Placer AI. Actually, I think Blount Partnership used it too. They got one. There's a little bit more advanced than ours. We're just worried about numbers, but they do it by cell phones. And they got a logarithm where they can kind of figure if they're too young to have a cell phone. However they do it, it's pretty accurate, because we look at events we have. We know how many's there, and we see what we get on there and see what they say, and it's accurate. That's where you come up with around 4,000 or 5,000 people at Spooktacular. It can tell us how many's there, and that's how it tells us how many. It's very good information for us to use to see how we're doing at our parks, and to tell you guys too. These parks are getting used. And it is. I can't remember the numbers. It's not as big. It was probably, I don't want to tell you, but yeah, after St. Springs, it's probably right there. Yeah. And we are looking at also one other little project at Johnsonville Pool. We're putting a splash pad inside the pool. Started that project now. With the City of Maryville's looking at also probably this fall looking at putting a larger splash pad in another park somewhere. So that's one of them. The Johnsonville one will, yeah. The other one we're in the planning stages. So we're like I said, we've got a lot going on. It's a busy time.
Okay. Any questions? All righty. Joseph, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you bringing Chris. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started again. Budget Committee meeting. Next up is Community Tennessee Rehabilitation Center. Hey, how are you doing? Good. Just push the button on that. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Caroline Murphy. I'm a career training coordinator for, I know it says the CTRC up there and also the CSU. There's a lot of words, but it's the Community Services Unit. We're a program under vocational rehabilitation, and we're kind of replacing an older program, which was the Community Tennessee Rehabilitation Center. So I think they just had us keep that name. So if that wasn't confusing. So vocational rehabilitation has been around for a very long time, I think over 100 years. And it's a state agency that helps people with disabilities obtain and maintain competitive integrated employment in the community. So they're earning fair wages, they're working in the community, and we also have some programs that can help employers diversify their workforce with qualified employees. So the vocational rehabilitation includes field services, which is the counselors who open a case and manage the case. Community services unit, so that's my program, and we are a community-based program. Business services, which go out and help people find those jobs, and they help develop relationships with businesses in the community to help our clients and customers access those jobs. Pre-employment training services is for ages 14 through 22, and they go into the schools to provide early job readiness services. And then sensory helps covers deaf and blind services. So the CSU is a community-based program. We offer individualized, person-centered services centered around employment training and support to customers. And it, again, is a newer program. I think it's about 5 years old, and it was developed and designed to go into the community. We meet people at libraries, American Job Centers, Department of Human Services offices. So we're meeting them kind of where they're at, and individual services, and that replaces the older model of the CTRCs, which were that sort of sheltered or workshop model where people would come and maybe work on tasks that were like contracted with businesses. I think I went too far. So a lot of our services that are the most popular are things like helping facilitate job shadowing opportunities, job searches, interest inventories, so that's career exploration. We help people with filling out job applications. We do a lot of resumes. I think that's probably the number one referral we get from counselors, is helping people update their resume or create a resume. And so we get a lot of training on what are the current expectations for a good resume, especially with AI. We work a lot on interview skills. That's probably another second highest. Is we do lots and lots of mock interviews, prepping people to have a successful interview. We work on communication skills, different kinds of life skills. We also seem to work a lot with people who have had trouble passing their written portion of their driver's license test. So they might have come to us and they've taken it 6 times, but we sit with them and really provide individualized help to help them understand how to take and pass the test. We can also provide some short-term job retention support. So once they've gotten a job and they're successfully employed, we don't want to just say goodbye. We try to stay with them. And then we work with the community as well, again, trying to build partnerships within our program and outside of our program. Wanted to share a success story with you. It kind of looks like a typical success story. I was working with a young man who was referred for what we call post-secondary. So we're trying to help him be successful in school, and he wanted to go to TCAT for welding, but he didn't check his emails, and so he missed his orientation. And so the counselor was kind of trying to figure out what can we do with him in this time. And so we sat down, and he got to go through the list of our services and identify what he thought would be most helpful. And we really ended up doing pretty much everything, but some of those looked like participating in a business etiquette class, working on organization, time management, appropriate communication, even just how to email someone professionally and how to text versus texting. So we have a lot of freedom and flexibility even within these categories of what we do on a day-to-day basis with our customers. So he did start showing, like, he showed progress throughout our meetings in small ways first, like showing up on time, not needing a reminder, being proactive and just telling me, what was going on and if he couldn't make it. And we always tie these real life examples to work. How are you going to talk to your employer if you're sick today? Or what if you need to ask your professor a question? This would not look appropriate versus this would be an appropriate way to do that. So again, he wasn't initially wanting to work, but he took a business etiquette class that was hosted by our unit, CSU, and he became more interested in working, and so he started applying to Food City and Publix. And I just love that the way I found out was I woke up to a text message from him with a picture of himself in his uniform, and he said, "Guess who got a job?" And so people are very proud when they go through a program and they're able to find a job. Sometimes for the first time, and sometimes they've had lots and lots and lots of jobs but not been successful at maintaining them. So the Region 2 CSU team, we cover Knoxville, Knox County, Blount County, surrounding counties. So we kind of combine our reports. So all together, and there's myself and 2 other people in Knoxville, and then we have a regional manager. So our team, the 3 of us, plus we had some people leaving, but we provided 880 career-related training and support services to 151 VR customers. So those are people who were within VR who were referred just to the CSU. So there would be a lot more customers in the vocational rehabilitation program. Our services alone directly contributed, so we track successful closures of people who worked with us, and so we participated in working with 16 people who successfully closed with competitive integrated employment. So their employment met these requirements and they maintained it for 90 days, and then that's considered a successful closure. And we also track employment status, so when someone gets a job, there's, again, more requirements that the counselors have to do to make sure they can move them into employed status, and then they follow them for 90 days. And so interview skills, application assistance, mock interviews, resume building, and job search training were our most frequently provided services. And I am not a finance person, so I did my best with these numbers to kind of show a potential economic impact for just Blount County. So I was just drawing from 41 successful closures from the 2 vocational rehabilitation counselors who cover Blount County. So the average earnings were about $21.75, and so there's a wide range of how much people work, and some people are concerned about maintaining their disability employment benefits, which, just to let you know, the counselors are very aware of how to help people still work. And and fall within those guidelines. But some people work full-time, some people work a few hours, so potentially a minimum of, if those 41 people maintain their employment for a year, that could look like earned wages for all of them of about $927,420. And our goals for the upcoming year are just that we will participate or contribute to the statewide vocational rehabilitation goal of 2,000 Tennesseans with disabilities exiting the program with competitive integrated employment. And then also that we will develop and implement a new training program in partnership with partners, community providers in the community, and also businesses, because the goal of a program is that we provide training and support to help ready people for employment, but then we also help them access job opportunities. So that's something that we're always working on, is finding out what the needs are in the community and then developing programs around that. We did not have any changes, I think, in the budget, and that is all handled in fiscal in Nashville, and so I know our program was kind of grandfathered in and is done a little bit different. But thank you for letting me tell you about what vocational rehabilitation does.
So, does anybody have questions? What is that budget? What is our budget for that? 274 or something, 278 or something?
Last year it was 81,982, and to my understanding, you're asking for the same amount this year. Is that correct?
I think we lowered it. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. We draw our funds are like 30% from the local municipalities and then 70% from the federal government. And so we do ask Blount County, the city of Maryville, and the city of Alcoa. And I think that we actually lowered the amount, because you will see that we're from dropping the physical location at the CTRC, you know, we have to account for some lowered costs.
So where is your all's office in Blount County?
We are housed pretty much out of the DHS office, which was moved to Chilhowie Medical Park, out past the hospital. Like in Knoxville, though, they largely go to the American Job Center, but it's connected to the DHS office. So,
Are you all a part of DHS? Are you all under the Department of Human Services?
we are, yeah.
And so before you had the building, which is now, I guess it's Aviation Academy now, where y'all actually did training there in the building. Do you have the area up there where you're at now to train and give them the training that they need?
No, that's the challenge that we face, because because of the loss of the building in that space, that's why we rely heavily on partnerships to find opportunities to train in the community.
Okay. So when you all left the building in Triangle Park and moved to share the office with DHS, was that because of some cuts from the state that came, or what exactly happened on that?
I can tell you the answer that I'm told, which I think has to do with the bigger picture of trying to move into a community model, so that it's like showing more respect to people, helping them access fair wages, saying that people with disabilities can work. So that's kind of the mission. As far as budget and all of that, I unfortunately don't know what those decisions were.
This budget for the Tennessee rehabilitation used to come out of the school system. The school system used to pay that years ago. Then we took it over and started paying it from the general fund. So, do y'all have ties with, like, does Maryville and Alcoa pay you out of general fund, or does it come through your school system?
Gosh.
Is there how does that funding come from normally? Do you know?
Well,
For years, you all came to our Blount County schools, is how you were
Right.
funded, so.
I've heard of, yes, I don't, I would just be kind of coming up with an answer because I've heard about it and I know those changes. And I've heard that, but I don't know specifically
If
about that.
somebody needed you, how would they find you? Where are you, where's your number? Is it somewhere that these people that need the help that you all provide can get to you?
Yes,
readily?
and we are on the, like we have a website and a toll number. So a lot of times people can just call the toll number and it would go to like Nashville, and then Nashville would connect them. That hotline would connect them to someone who would get them set up for their intake. But we also try to go out into the community and hand out business cards now. And so like going to job fairs and connecting with people and taking referrals. A lot of times we're able to give our individual information out to people and say, hey, just call me. And Jennifer Sawyer has been a counselor for forever, and she really is deeply connected with the community and the schools, and so she likes for people to just go through her and stay connected to the community.
Who's that?
I'm sorry, she's one of the vocational rehabilitation counselors.
Okay.
And she worked at the old TRC for a very long time.
What's her
and
name? What's Deborah? Is it, you talking about Deborah? Who are you?
Jennifer Sawyer.
Deborah
she,
was the one we always dealt with. Deborah was over it for years and years.
yeah, so I might have been the manager at the TRC. The CTRC had its own manager,
Yeah.
and then it was the counselors, and they would, their clients, now we have to call them customers, but they would come in and they would determine what services they needed to meet their employment goal. And so they still do that, but it's just not inside that building.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Next up, Ag Extension. Mr. Jonathan Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, committee. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Guess I need to go the other direction. There we go. What we do. Without reading verbatim here, we basically serve the entire community, but in particularly the agricultural sector. And we do a needs assessment each during the year to help plan the programs, along with our Ag Committee, which is made up of 3 commissioners, 2 farm men and 2 farm women. And we deliver programming in these 5 primary areas: ag, natural resources, youth development, family and consumer sciences, which was formerly home economics, also nutrition and health education for both adults and youth, and work with folks, community, economic, and resource development. This is our staff. We have 8 folks on paid staff, including myself, and then we utilize numerous volunteers and interns throughout the year. In particular, we've got over 100 master gardeners that we train, for whom volunteer there on site at the Blount County Operations Center, and as we'll see in a few moments, many other locations throughout the county. We accomplish this through a myriad of programming methods: on-farm visits. We go in the home, we sit around the kitchen table, work on farm plans with folks. Social media, and fortunately we've got some younger folks who are more savvy with social media. I'm learning as time goes. Numerous group meetings, on-site demonstrations, not only there at the Operations Center, but we conduct on-farm demonstrations out with the populace on crop varieties, livestock health care technologies, and so forth. We host numerous classes, and then each year we've got various camps. We've got some week-long camps at the 4-H Center in Greenville, as well as we've got another example would be State 4-H Congress, where we just had some 4-Hers return from Nashville, where they spend 3.5 to 4 days there learning about state government. They visit with our elected representatives and senators, get a tour of the both chambers of the House, and actually go through mock government. They elect their own senators and representatives and initiate bills and vote on those. So many camps there. And then field days and tours, days out on the farm, some of the UT research locations. We've got a couple of those here in the county, the UT Dairy Unit out at Little River and Wallen, and then also the Blount Beef Unit there in Louisville, just off of Alcoa Highway. Accomplishments for this current 25-26 fiscal year. We've trained 59 farmers there in several different master programs: master beef producer, master forage producer, master small ruminant producer for sheep and goat producers, and the list goes on. And you can see the numbers there for which they've been approved. Once they're certified, then they can apply to the State Department of Ag for cost share assistance. And with that incoming, that estimated to generate an additional nearly $2 million in economic activity here, primarily in Blount County. And that kind of a breakdown on who's completed what in some of the master beef, and we've got a small ruminant course ongoing now, which will soon finish up. As we continue with our Master Gardener horticulture side of the picture, we've trained certified 12 Master Gardeners last year. We currently have another class of 16 in place. And this is a real value that we can actually put dollars and cents to with the volunteer time that they put in across the county. They've driven over 44,000 miles, and there's excess of $20 attributed to those 8,560 volunteer hours that they've accomplished. So not quite 300,000 value to their volunteer, and on over 3,000 projects throughout the community. That's just an example of one of our master beef classes we recently graduated. Youth programming, we've got a lot of successes there, and again, thanks to thank the commission, the body, for honoring some of our youth on Tuesday evening here in this room. They're very successful. Again, this is through our paid staff and many of volunteers that participate in the program throughout the year. And if you were here there on Tuesday night, Ms. Elder, who was honored along with our youth, she and her late husband, Roger, they've been involved in this program for over 50 years. So a half century of successes there. And Blount County, they do us proud. They bode well across the state. They've got a good reputation for youth participation, and they're going again to a U.S. Southeastern Regional competition this coming summer. Substance abuse, we've got a dedicated program in Health Rocks that's disseminated throughout in the county school system, and some out-of-school clubs. So we've seen successes there where youth learn better decision making. Of course, as we all know, there's a lot of peer pressure among the youth, and it seems to be trickling on down even to the lower grades more so in society today. So you can see those successes there. We've got there's something for everybody in the youth realm. We've got natural resources involved, and also not only learning about wildlife species and hunting and fishing and so forth, and safe firearm use, but also leadership aspects in our relatively new wildlife outdoor leadership focus, with whom we got a partnership there with Brookfield Renewables, who has property that'd be down to Calderwood Dam. And as a coworker of mine once said, nothing against our finance department and economists present, but the quote was, "Everything that counts can't be counted," in the reverse. So a lot of times with our youth, we can't put a dollar and cent value, but certainly here, and sorry for the smaller print, but young lady who is, and you see her tapestry there, need a little 4-H love. And so they work with volunteers who train them in crocheting, sewing, knitting, et cetera, and those fabric garment arts. And you can see here this young lady, they learn some very significant life skills that help them on as they become adults in the community. And not only life skills for them individually, but also they make a lot of these things that they donate to senior groups. Lap blankets to keep them warm if they're wheelchair bound and so forth. As we turn the page to Family and Consumer Sciences, co-workers there are Mary Beth Lima and then our nutrition educators Sherry and Danielle. Quite a bit of success there in this current fiscal year. Training first-time home buyers, which qualifies them for some discounts when they apply for their mortgage loans. And of those 29 or 24 of those 29 have closed on those purchases, so that certainly translates into increased tax revenue for the county and also the economic value in those property sales. Co-parenting, as you may be aware, if one or the other parents file for divorce, if they have minor children under age 18, then they have to attend a co-parenting program in the interest of minimizing, if not eliminating, at least adverse effects that take place during the process of that divorce. Oftentimes it doesn't result in a reconciliation of the two parents, but at least you can see here reported, majority of them report that they have become more aware of impacts on the children in the family, and so thereby reducing negative impact for them. Our Tennessee Consumer and Education Program for Food Waste Awareness, we collected quite a bit of food last year. You can see the value there. Co-workers also teach food preservation, and we do that in a number of locations we have in churches, but we're collaborating with the county and highway department on a demo kitchen there. We've purchased numerous stoves and other equipment to put in place there so we can teach canning classes, increase the number which we can host there for each class. So we're excited there. And you can see a couple of anecdotal quotes here. I don't teach it even though I know about it. We stay within our discipline. I don't teach it, but I could share a few things, but it's interesting. Some folks are far removed from being able to home can. They don't remember their moms or their grandmothers canning, but we can see here, this lady in particular, we sanitize our jars for jellies and jams. I thought we just filled them and flipped them over. So, so it's critical because rarely do you get a do-over if you get food poisoning, particularly something like botulism. So actually we were able to put a dollar value with that. As the population ages, many of us, including myself, sometimes I find maybe have a little bit of a challenge staying steady on our feet. I'm not quite there yet, but I've got elderly parents and my mother-in-law who do have balance challenges, so our coworkers teach that, so it helps those folks to manage and make sure they're very focused when they get in and out of vehicles and maneuver about. One of our more recent successes, and we very much appreciate the collaboration with Blount County government. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and City of Alcoa, City of Maryville. Each of you should have received a handy-dandy postcard. This is something that's on the back. It has our partners. We've incorporated a GIS system to this and a map of Blount County. We've got lots of resources, food resources in Blount County. So with that, there's no reason anyone should go hungry. And with that in mind, we've produced a printed hard copy resource guide, but this is kind of a handy card. I've left some in the mayor's office this morning, where most of us have a smartphone anymore. So you can go to our website, or you can scan the QR code, and it will pull up the map of Blount County and show you all the locations from where an individual can obtain food, be it a pantry box, church food pantries, etc., even on-farm, farm market direct sales, where you can go to a farm and purchase produce directly. So that we're thankful to have that in play, and we appreciate all the partners, including Blount County government, who's made that possible. Goals for the upcoming year include expanding our services to the citizenry. We serve not only the agricultural farming community of Blount County, but all residents, residential or otherwise. We're building out our vegetable gardens there on site at the Operations Center and continuing to seek grants and in-kind donations. We're training 16 master gardeners for this year and providing upcoming master programs for 30 or more farmers. And a new one, we've got a lot of folks, as I'm sure you're aware, have moved to Blount County that have purchased 5, 15, 50 or more acres. They don't have any prior experience growing vegetables or raising livestock, and they reach out to us. We've got many of those. So borrowing from a past USDA Ag Yearbook, we've got a program coming up later this year called Living on a Few Acres. It'll be a 2-day workshop where we introduce folks to all the resources available. You know, where do I go to drill a well on the farm? What about fencing? What about water sources? How do I grow my crops and produce livestock, so forth? So that's, and it's open too to our long-term farmers, but we've got a big need for that as folks move to the community. Increase our social presence. I'm toying with adding a podcast. I've learned from some coworkers, so we'll be delving into that, rotating among our disciplines within the department. Increasing our online platforms, again, with food preservation, financial management, and the parenting. Continuing to increase our partnerships, and we've attracted donations. Folks can get tax-deductible donations into the 4-H Foundation, and that helps with our programming. What we've asked for, we've maintained static budget for this current and the past fiscal year, but in order to keep pace with cost of living, we would ask a little bump in salaries and benefits and a few more dollars in operating expenses to keep up with travel costs and such. And that would be an additional $10,671 and change above the current budget. And so we very much appreciate that. We've got about, obviously, as you see, $3390 of that is over in operating to help with travel, and also a couple of thousand of that in there to help with replacing a computer. We try to replace a computer every 4 to 5 years. We're on a rotating basis with our staff. So that would be a total bringing us up again from our current 6,300 plus to 9,813 on operating. So with that, I thank you, and I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions for John? Any questions? John, I do have one. On your additional budget request, it says here that you are requesting the $10,671, but that it's been 2 years since any salary or benefit increases were given. Have your employees not had raises in 2 years?
It would be not since last year, so it'd be about 26 months ago, something like that, right?
So y'all didn't get any?
We didn't do a raise last year for anybody.
For anybody?
Right.
Nobody. Was that by the state, or you just didn't have the funding?
Well, we got some on the state side, and to give a little more background, it's a collaborative, cooperative financing from the county and the state. UT, University of Tennessee, and we've got one Tennessee State University staff member. So they collaborate. It's about a 52 county, 48 state percentages. So the state last year, they gave a little bump. The governor and the state legislature, they approved it was about I think a 1.5% or 2% increase last year on the state side, but we stayed static level on the county side.
Okay. All right. Brody? Anybody, anything? John, thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Yes, sir. You're welcome. Thank you. I'll leave the remote this year. I tried to carry it off last year.
Next up will be the Industrial Development Board. Mr. Brian Daniels will be presenting.
I've got a handout here, Mayor. Oh, thank you.
Is that ain't knee that you're walking like that, is it?
I'm sorry.
That ain't your knee, is it?
No, I've got a back injury.
Because I'm sitting here with ice on mine, you're not making me feel it very.
Well, it should be a lot better from what you've had.
It's doing better. It's doing
That's
real good.
I forget I've had mine done before,
Yeah.
so it's been great.
Get you through. Come on.
So before you, thank you for the opportunity to come and talk a little bit about the Industrial Development Board. You've got our year-end report that the Blount Partnership puts out that incorporates the successes of the Industrial Board. I'll tell you, a highlight for us from last year of successes we've had has been the support that Blount County, but also Maryville, Alcoa, Knox County, Monroe County, and Lenoir City all supported the aviation school that was stood up. That thing has been absolutely amazing in that we had a full class of roughly a little more than 21 students that signed up. We have a waiting list of 100 more students wanting to go in the aviation school. This spring we started another cohort, which is an additional 20 students. And it's a whole new industry. Now, aviation has been an industry we've recruited for decades now. You look at Standard Aero, you look at the huge, overwhelming success we've had with Cirrus Aircraft and their continued expansion in this community. You look at Endeavor Air, and then also part of that, as we were told with Southwest decision, being able to have a labor force feeder in help their decision in locating here too, but also keeping the mission of the 134th. Colonel Selvage came before us and last 2 weeks ago to the chamber board, and it talked about the school and the support from the community, and that's what helped to get them the new airframe. So we appreciate it. Mayor, you took a real leadership role in that, in circling the wagons and getting the region on board. And there's a whole new industry that we're going to be able to capitalize on, because as you all know, when you can show you've got the labor force, you can then cherry pick the different businesses you want. And so for us, we're really staking a claim in aviation that's going to be a driver for us. And so that was a huge success, so much so that the Tennessee Board of Regents recognized us as a best partnership for across the whole state. And that partnership is all-inclusive of all the governments and the business community that help pull that together. So that's a huge achievement. That award sits in the office there at the partnership. We also had more successes last year. We were named, our team members were named the top 50 economic developers, not in just the U.S., but in all of North America. And we were able to play host to 28 nations here that were looking at our economy and how we diversified and how we're considered a rural economy, how we're having this much success. And so we were able to host them. It's through the International Economic Development Council. We hosted them over a 4-day period here, and the community really showed well. And that's led to some projects that we've been working on for a couple of years that are about to come to fruition that you're going to about to hear very soon about. And so our whole goal continues to be to diversify this economy so that if there's any downtimes in any certain industry, that we as a community can rebound, and we're not totally relying on another community's companies or their economy to support our own citizens. We're very much independent. Now, we cooperate as a region, but we're trying to make our economy very resilient here. The budget that you've got before you now demonstrates our continued efforts in workforce and what we're doing. We're hoping to, well, not hoping, we will close out the last part of the greenway system that we've got under construction that ties in the Alcoa area and over to Smith & Wesson. So that'll conclude here within the next, I'd say, 60 days. We'll be finally finished with construction. As far as any new construction coming on, we've got a few projects around Pellissippi Place that we are formulating and working on. You're about to see a lot of movement in that park too. So just a lot of positive activity that's going on. And I don't want to read you that report you've got before you, but it encapsulates everything that's successfully occurred. Now I'll answer any questions you've got.
Anybody got any questions for Brian?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Brian, do you believe we're inching closer, more quickly toward the suburban entitlement rather than the rural? How far have we inched along there?
So I'll tell you, we're in different categories at different levels. When you look at us compared to the 95 counties in the state of Tennessee, we're considered an urban county.
Okay.
Which means we're a tier 1 community, which means the state doesn't contribute as much as they would a very rural area like a Morristown or a Greene County or Monroe County, those sorts of things. So it means you have to stand up on your feet more, but they look at our economy here and how strong it is and your ability to pay. So as the state of Tennessee is considered, we're considered the same as in parity as a Knoxville or a Franklin or a Chattanooga. I mean, that's how they look at us. When you compare us at the federal level, we're considered still a rural county, but suburbanizing. And so it just depends on which categories you want to fall in.
So what's the challenge for us to even those two? Federally?
Yeah.
I don't know how much hope we have there, but are we about where you would like to see us to be at the state level?
So, if I could wave a magic wand, I wish we could be back down to a tier 2 community so we didn't have to pay at the same parity as a Nashville, a Franklin, a Chattanooga. But then you look at the resilience of our local economy, the state's very quick to point out, you guys have done so well in your business development side. There's urban areas that you're in parity with, so they're going to consider us an urban tier 1 community. I don't see us changing. That's been that way for at least before COVID, and so the community's been good about, tier 1 community. It means you're a leader in the state, and so you just have to pay more on your grants and your opportunities that way. But it affords you, candidly, better looks at better projects as we are out recruiting. The projects we work on anymore, they're not takes a month or 2 months. It usually takes us multiple years on the projects that we're working, but they're high net worth projects, meaning they have a huge capital investment. They have a payroll that's above our prevailing wage, and that's where we want to be. That's part of diversifying our economy, trying to get our citizens more money in their pocket that gives them more money to spend in the community. And so that's been our focus. And we're not just looking at the top level ones too. We looked at the middle level. I mean, our second largest employer we now have is Amazon, 3,700 employees, only behind Denso. And so that's a regional employer, and we're getting the tax revenue off of that, and it's off onto the county line out there to itself. And when the interstate's finished, it'll have its own transportation network. So, for us, we truly are uplifting everybody through trying to provide, no matter what your level of training or what you want to do, more income into your pocket. That's what we're focused on. At the federal level, it's Bureau of Statistics. I mean, it is what it is, how they classify us.
At the federal level, we want to stay rural because there's through ETHRA and East Tennessee Development District.
Yeah.
If we go urbanized, then we lose a lot of funding through the federal grant program?
So I'll tell you, one bucket that we lost was EDA. EDA is strictly focused heavily on very rural areas. And they've, to your point, Sharon, they now consider us suburbanizing, which took us out of the pot of money of, we had applied and had gotten grants. We spent them on Pellissippi Place. We spent money in the Blount County Industrial Park, of where the feds would come in and give us roughly, on average, 45–50% grant money to do those capital projects, to build out infrastructure to support the projects we were working on. And because we've now suburbanized, we're out of that pool. It really just depends, because we're right on the bubble with them of what's rural, what's not. And you really look at the county, candidly, of we're so on the razor's edge of suburbanizing and rural that it depends on where the project is geographically. If it's more in the Maryville-Alcoa city limits, then it usually doesn't qualify. But if it's right outside, then it can. But we're on that knife's edge of being able to qualify for some of those monies or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything else? Brian, thank you.
All right, thank you all. Yeah, thank you.
Next up, Veterans Affairs.
How is everybody?
All right.
I'm glad. I suppose this is just as simple as clicking the center button. I'm Julie Coulter, and I have had the pleasure of working downstairs with Nathan Weinbaum for the last year and a half. He sends his regards. He's sorry he couldn't be here this afternoon. He had another engagement. And I think ours is going to be pretty short and sweet. We don't do anything new necessarily. And in the wise words of Nathan Weinbaum, we do whatever we can to help any veteran. So that's what we do. He's like, just help veterans every day. So that's what we do. We're pretty proud of all of the folks that come in and are able to accomplish getting anything with them. We see people every day. Our other new member of the office is Jennifer Holmes, and she's been there since last summer when the esteemed Donna Hatcher retired, and we do miss Donna. And that's our committee that we answer to. And basically, any of the folks that come in, their highest needs are going to be VA paperwork related. We do an abundance of disability claims. We sign people up for VA health care, and we answer a lot of phone calls and questions from folks that either don't understand the process, or a lot of our, some of our elder veterans, predominant with Vietnam, really don't understand a lot of computer stuff, so we do a lot of aid with that as well. Another thing that we're incredibly proud of is that thanks to the almost 10,000 veterans that we have just in Blount County, we're over $84 million a year in VA benefits that's awarded to our Blount County veterans. And with that money going back into the community, we're awfully proud of being able to contribute to people getting that assistance. There's just some more of our lovely veterans. Any of y'all that know Nathan know that we are highly regarded in the entire state. And while the VA numbers that I just told you about only reflect Blount County veterans and the money that comes in for them, we get veterans from all over the place, even outside of Tennessee sometimes, because Nathan has made such an office, thanks to the help of Donna Hatcher as well, that's so well respected and so well known that we get phone calls and appointments made daily and weekly for folks in other areas that try to come to us. Obviously, our main goal is to help our Blount County citizens, but we won't turn any veteran away if they need help. Our budget has not changed significantly, except for it has decreased with Donna's exit. So mine and Jennifer's income is sorely lower than hers, but we'll get there. So I don't think that we have any other changes or needs, and I think that we're accomplishing everything that we do quite successfully with the low budget that we do have and utilize. And while that was quick and simple, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
We have any questions? Veterans? Well, you've evidently done an excellent job. We have no questions. I do want to say that you're exactly right. You all are recognized across, just not across the state of Tennessee, across the southeastern United States, as being one of the premier service agencies for our veterans. I think everybody knows what you all do and what it means to Nathan and to each one of you all. And our veterans, they absolutely deserve every bit of it. But what you all have been able to do to give back to our veterans and those that give us the freedom to have this meeting right here today is just amazing. I think I don't know if everybody in Blount County is as thankful for what our Veterans Affairs Office does, but everybody should be very thankful for what you all do. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that, and I agree. And I am a retired member of the 134th, and I know I'm trying to work with a lot of my peers and counterparts out there to get more advocacy and the word out. And that's the one good thing about Jennifer and I being new. We kind of got, a fire lit under us, and we're trying to do a lot more outreach stuff. Good. And so we're volunteering more of our own time outside of the office and trying to meet with a lot more groups. And we're trying to get younger people and younger veterans involved, because it is sort of strange to me that it is typically some of the older ones. And I don't know why, but we're trying to be seen and be heard and get the word out for more people. But I appreciate you all.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Next up, Health Department, Carissa.
I'm not going to have much either. Good afternoon, Mayor, Committee.
Afternoon.
I'm Carissa Blackwell, if any of you don't know me. Our funding comes from the local direct. We do receive some funding for the county that we truly are appreciative of, and that normally covers office supplies, food, and we utilize that food and things for outreach. So at the end of this, we're not asking for anything. We're just appreciative of what you're giving us. What we do, the Blount County Health Department protects, promotes, and improves the health and well-being of all people in Blount County. We offer primary care, general clinic, family planning, dental, and WIC services, and we also do a lot of education with the younger kids throughout the community. Our accomplishments for this year, so our fiscal state audit came back at 100% with no errors. We had a 45% increase in primary care patients compared to last year. Our care coordinator, who is more like a referral services for other services that we offer in the county, processed 680 referrals, which was the most in the East region. So we have 15 counties in the East region, and we were at the top of that list. We also partnered with Blount Benefits to form the Blount County Food Resource website, so we have a lot of information regarding that at the Health Department as well. We were recognized as one of the top 3 counties in the state for giving out the hypertension kits. So we now have a self-monitored blood pressure program going on right now. We give the patients blood pressure cuffs that are Bluetooth capability, and they are able to monitor their blood pressure, and they report those numbers back to their primary care doctor. We recently hired a new RN4, which is our nursing supervisor, Michelle Moore. We now have 2 providers 5 days a week, 3 providers 2 days a week in our primary care clinic. So each provider can see up to 12 patients a day. So we see anywhere from 60 to 70 patients a day. We also received the Community Champion Award. We partnered with Beware Blount, and they recognized us for all the outreach that we are doing in the community. Our goals are getting settled into our remodeled space. We are so excited about this, and I feel like I need a hard hat. I've learned a new language, so I'm adding that to my resume. Begin offering diabetes education courses. This has been a long-term goal. We are getting closer, but we are working on funding from the state to allow us to go out to do that and buy all the paperwork to promote that program. Promote more about telehealth. We have telehealth available where you are actually talking to a medical doctor similar to your regular primary care doctors. So we want to promote that a lot more. A lot of the community that we serve, they do not have access to vehicles or can't get to us for whatever reasons, and we can probably help them from home. So promoting telehealth a little bit more. And engage with more community groups for outreach. We are currently meeting with, I know Lily at the Martin Luther King Center. We're planning a big health fair in May because a lot of people don't know all the services that we really offer at the health department. It's truly like walking into your own primary care doctor. There's not many services that we don't have. So just getting out more in the community and letting them know everything that we do. And here's our budget. Again, it's included with the local direct. We will get a new budget in September, so I will be harassing Brian and Tyler about crunching all of these numbers together. So that comes out in September. And that's all I have. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Have a question? Anyone? I don't think many people, I know probably around this horseshoe they do, how many people you serve in this county every day at the health department. It truly is became a go-to for a lot of people, low income, people that can't afford to go and have their own medical. You all have got, and you've become that one-stop shop. You've become that place that can have a real effect on taking care of and the health of a lot of people, whether they're children, adults, or elderly. And if you haven't had a chance to go down by there, I know it's still got construction going on, but when we get that remodeled down there, it's and we did this with grant money. We did this with grant money, but that's going to be the premier. It already is the premier health department in the state of Tennessee. But you know, that really is going to be one of the premier health departments in the state of Tennessee. Don't you agree?
I agree. It's going to be very nice, very modern. It's up to date. The colors, the layout, it's nice.
Well, you've been a trooper with us on this because I know doing all that construction while y'all are still doing everything that you do every day down there has been very tough, but I appreciate your smile and the fact that you and all of your staff that have been very good about just shaking it off and going on and taking care of business, because at the end of the day, when the building gets the total remodel, it's going to be a great place to walk in and work at, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Krista, thank you for everything. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You too. Sheriff, did you want to add something to your budget here? You forgot to. Oh, that's right. Come on up. Next up, soil conservation. Eric.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell, members of the Budget Committee. For the record, my name is Eric Henry. I'm the director of the Blount County Soil and Water Conservation District. What we do, those of you have probably heard me say this before, but it bears worth repeating. Our goal is to sustain and improve the natural resources within Blount County. That includes improving soil, water, and air quality. It includes improving wildlife habitat for threatened and endangered species. But most of all, it means improving the lives of our private land users. And it is our private landowners. That's approximately 99% of our workload, which is unique for a unit of government. We provide our services in one of two ways. Number one, we provide technical assistance for a wide range of natural resource issues. And I work with state and federal partners, whether they be wildlife biologists, engineers, geologists, hydrologists, whatever expertise we need, we go out there and try to obtain that. And number two, we secure grant funding to implement on-the-ground conservation practices. And for fiscal year 25, we secured approximately $1.1 million in grant funding. The majority of that funding is utilized on agricultural and forested lands, but you heard John Wilson with UT Extension say, we've definitely seen a fragmentation of our land uses over the last decade or so. And these smaller parcels, they can be more complicated or more complex to plan, but we have quite a few, 3 to 5 acre parcel owners that either are growing vegetable crops, or maybe they want a rain garden or other wildlife habitat on their property. So we've really seen that increase as far as our workload. Though that type of programming, it decreases stormwater runoff, ultimately improves water quality for the good of the community. We are also involved with public projects. Recently we saw, well, it's still in process, the removal of Williams Mill Dam. This was a low-head dam. It's located further down Old Knoxville Highway, close to the Clayton Bradley Academy. I want to clarify, we were not responsible for the removal of this dam. This was a TDOT initiative. We were likely responsible for it indirectly. When my coworker, our watershed scientist, Dr. Julie Conkle, first came on board 7 or 8 years ago, she got this orchestrated within the first 30 to 60 days of her employment with us. This project had been on the book for decades, quite frankly. The benefits of removing this dam, number one, improved water quality. We're reducing flooding, particularly along the Greenway. Remains to be seen if it could have an impact to reduce flooding issues further upstream on into Alcoa. As a part of this dam removal, we have been conducting what are called geomorphic surveys. Geomorphology, that is the study of how landforms originate and how they change over time, what factors affect those landforms. So the data that we are collecting, this will ultimately guide us on how to proceed with future stream bank stabilization projects. That picture on the left there, this was taken a couple of days after the removal of that dam. If you see the tree line, that was the original water level. And so in this picture, it's dropped every bit of 4 feet. And it's gone down even further since that dam was removed a few months ago. That is a tremendous amount of storage that we're creating for our flooding type events, these 25-year storm events that we now get multiple times out of the year. So from a flood reduction perspective, it's been a really good project. And yes, that is me standing in almost neck-deep water on the right there. So
30 years ago, standing that deep in Pistol Creek, you'd have probably caught something and died in about 3 days. You remember?
Oh, believe me.
When I was growing up, Pistol Creek was not where you wanted to stand.
It's not I won't say it's pleasant right now, but we are very careful. So
it's cleaner than it was, though, isn't it?
Yes, I would say it is.
Huh? Yeah.
We still got a long way to go with Pistol
I know.
Creek, though.
I know. It's Pistol Creek.
One of our outreach events for fiscal year 25, and we continued this for fiscal year 26, we inherited the Grazing for Profit Conference. The Roane County Conservation District had conducted this conference for the past 20 years. We started it last year, and this year we had 102 individuals attend this conference. The primary goal is to educate producers on grazing management. And the better we can do with grazing management, again, the better we can do with improving and sustaining our natural resources. Our goals for the next fiscal year really continue existing programming. Again, implement agricultural and forest land best management practices. We currently offer septic system repair and restoration for low-income households, but that funding is limited to just a couple of watersheds. So longer term, we are looking at a strategy to attempt to make this a county-wide initiative, because there's a lot of need out there when it comes to this. I would be remiss if I did not mention that today is election day for the Conservation District. Every 3 years, we conduct an election. So if you go to Ag Central Co-op, you can vote for the board supervisor of your choice until 4:30, or you can also vote until 7 p.m. tonight out at the Blount County Operations Center. So that's all I've got. I would be glad to entertain any questions.
Anybody got any questions? Eric, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it. Next up, GIS with Mr. Raymond Boswell.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing?
Good, right?
Well, Mayor Mitchell and the board, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you all this afternoon and try to shed some light on what it is that we do as far as GIS is concerned. So, again, my name is Ray Boswell. One thing that is interesting to me is that this is now 20 years that we've been doing this. Time flies when you're having fun. I appreciate the support that y'all have provided to us over these past 20 years. And so what it is that we do. Can't have these conversations with my wife because I start using jargon and she gets lost. So I'll try not to lose y'all. But, one thing that, when trying to explain what it is that we do, it's there is, from a local government perspective, there's a lot of information that's tied to an address, that's tied to a parcel, that's tied to a watershed, that's tied to a zip code, that's tied to an XY location. And so what we do from a GIS perspective is that we help people be able to visualize that information in a common framework, some way to be able to make sense of it. And that common framework is a map. So we've been working to support not only departments within the county, but also the city of Alcoa, the city of Maryville, and the citizens of our county and outside of our county through public-facing web applications. So with your support, we have a staff of 3 people, myself, and then we've got a developer, a programmer, and then also a technician that does a lot of work for these different departments. And the citizens within the county. As you can see, this is just a list of some of the departments that we support in one way, shape, or form. And the support for these departments can take on many different, can look different depending upon who it is. Whether it be applications to, as for instance at the library for individuals coming in and wanting to get a library card, determining whether or not they actually live within the county or if they're outside the county, so that they can be charged a fee. From an accounting and budgeting perspective, I had actually hoped that we would have the sales tax situs information to you already, but that there was something that I noticed as we were finalizing that, so you should have that no later than next week, as far as that information is concerned. Development services and highway department, there's being able to access when phone calls come in, be able to access information about, okay, so what utility provides services to that location? How do we get in touch with those people? Who's the owner of this property? What's the zoning of that location? That sort of thing. And down in the election office, being able to support them as they work to, make certain that people go to the correct location when they go to vote. So, and so what this looks like is, we have internal applications that people will access through online browsers, through mobile devices and desktop software, and then also public-facing applications as well. Some of the accomplishments that, through your support, that we've been able to do this year is a LiDAR acquisition. And so LiDAR, without getting too far deep into the weeds, that's light detection and ranging. And so basically what we're doing with that is we have partnered with the USGS, the two cities, South Blount County Utility, McGee-Tyson Airport, and the Industrial Development Board. And so that this LiDAR acquisition is going to help us to be able to create a new surface model for the county and be able to generate updated contours so that we can see where change has occurred within the county. And with that change, we'll have a representative contours to match what the dirt that has been moved over the years. One of the big projects that has taken a pretty significant amount of time, and we actually just went live with that last week, was a migration for the 911 communication center. So every call that comes in, basically there's a geographic query that occurs when that call comes in. So that address, that location, is run through what they call geovalidation. And so that point where that call is originating from, basically what it does is it does a spatial query, and it returns what police zone should be, which police agencies should be dispatched and which zone that they're in, and from a fire perspective, which fire agency should be dispatched, and if they're within the cities, which zone should be dispatched, or which station should be dispatched. So this was necessitated because of changes in technology. Some of the we utilize a program called from the software developers called Esri, and they have retired some of their applications, so it was necessary to be able to update 911 so that they were using the most recent technology available to them for this. From a retirement perspective, as I mentioned, we have a host of public-facing web applications that people can access either through our website, blountgis.org, or through some of the pages on city websites or county websites. Things like, what city am I in? What school zone am I located in? My government services, that sort of thing. And because the tools that we use, we don't necessarily control those tools as Esri does. And so they retired some of those applications this calendar year. And so we already had the replacements created, and so it's just a matter of just migrating those retired applications to the new ones. And so it's something that's been a long time coming, and it's nice to have actually kind of pulled off the Band-Aid and made that happen. And one of the internal applications that we have is the sex offender registry. So when someone comes in and they're initially on the registry, they can't work or live within a certain distance of a business park or school park, places where children congregate. And so this application allows the sex offender registry team to be able to search by an address and be able to determine whether or not that place of business or that residential location meets the criteria where that individual can stay. So moving forward to fiscal year 26-27, one of the challenges that we have from a support perspective is creating usernames and logins, and what the desire is to simplify that as much as possible. And so the IT department's migration to Microsoft Active Directory is something that's going to be able to help us be able to simplify creating users and creating accounts. And the benefit to that is the end user is not going to have to remember a bunch of different username and passwords. So whatever username and password those individuals have that they use to log on to their Windows workstations, they'll be able to use the same one to log into our system to be able to access that information. So very excited about that. Another project that will be taking place in fiscal year 26 is an inventory acquisition for the entire county. And so we're timing that to support the property assessor's 2-year reappraisal cycle. And so we appreciate that, your support on that one as well. I mentioned the www.blountgis.org website. That is, it's time for it to move on. It's time to retire that. And so we're in the process of working through an update to that, and I'm excited about that because one of the things we're going to be doing is providing what's called an open data portal. And so from time to time, we get phone calls and requests. It's like, hey, can we get access to this, or can we get access to that? And so a lot of our public-facing data sets we're going to be making available through this open data portal so that people will be able to download that information and have access to it. I'm not talking utility information or fiber or anything like that, but think zoning districts or commission districts, things of that nature. And then the My Government Services application, the tools that we use to develop that initially from an internet perspective are a little long in the tooth also. So we're in the process of working through an update to that with some of the newer web technologies to streamline things and make things easier. And when we go live with this update, we're going to have some new categories of information to help people out. Such as, who do I need to talk to? Like if you're new to the area, who do I need to contact for electric service? Who do I need to contact for water service? Do I have sewer availability in my house? That sort of thing. So pretty excited about the potential for that also. So from a funding perspective, I think that the number was 335. Which was actually a little bit less than what was requested last fiscal year. So sincerely appreciate y'all's support over the past 20 plus years and looking forward to seeing how we can continue to support not only the individuals within the government, but the citizens within the county as well. And with that, I'll be more than happy to take any questions that y'all might have.
Any questions? 20 years ago, Ray, when you started this, if you'll remember, we were all in the department head meeting, and you were brought in, and it was a pipe dream that everybody had to make this work with this GIS, and it was. You look back now, what we thought was tremendous technology is now and so antiquated that from where we've gone from 20 years ago to now, it's been amazing. But I remember 20 years ago when we had our first meeting. Do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You were a lot younger.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it.
You may not have been.
About it, man.
Yeah, you may not have been confused with Santa Claus at that point in time.
No, it's come a long way, Ray. It was a great dream and a great concept to have. I think Gary was involved in that. And it was pretty amazing that it was the right thing to do at the right time,
right? To
get ahead of it to where we're not catching up right now like a lot of people are. So
right, and one of the things that I hope that people realize is that it's a resource that can help people, be able to answer questions as they go about their daily activities, and so that's part of what is exciting to me because it's an opportunity to be able to give back to a fantastic community.
I would hate to think how we would be doing business if we didn't have it right now, whether it's elections, whether it's property assessor's office, whether it's the highway department, the sheriff's department. I'd hate to be thinking how we would be doing business today if we did not have this GIS shared GIS going on in Blount County right now. That would just it would really slow things down a lot.
Right, and it touches so many, even when people don't realize that they're interacting with it or what, but it touches a lot of people, and so I'm thankful and appreciative of that.
Thank you very much, Ray.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good day, and
too.
appreciate y'all.
Seeing no one else on the agenda tonight, do I hear a motion to adjourn?